I wanted to talk about romance. Specifically romance in books. Today what I'm going to be doing is ranking romance tropes. I have a list of very popular romance tropes and I'm gonna tier rank them into how I feel about them, and I'll see if I can give examples of books that I think of when I think of specific tropes. But some I think I haven't read before or I don't like the sound of, so I haven't touched. I can't really give you really accurate recommendations or examples for some of the tropes, but we'll see. I have a nice cup of tea. Let's get cozy and have a look at these tropes. Okay, so first at the top we have kicking my feet. These are tropes I absolutely love. Think of them as like, you know, giggling to yourself, kicking your feet in happiness. That's the kind of vibe that's going on up here. Next I have is cute. So I like these. I quite like these tropes. They're good. They're usually done quite well. It's all right. That's kind of, I've seen them done well, I've seen them done poorly. Sometimes they might be overdone, you know, that kind of thing. But you know, it's okay. It's not gonna turn me off a book or make me read a book. Like, it's neither. Then we have meh, which is kind of tired of this, not gonna lie. Like, it's fine, I suppose, but meh. And then jail. Jail is for stuff I really hate. The tropes I really do not enjoy. So they should just go to jail. Out of here. Let's look. So the first is rivals to lovers. Rivals to lovers, I am a big fan. I love rivals to lovers. So rivals to lovers is different to enemies to lovers, right? In that rivals, the partnering, the pairing, they respect each other enough to be on the same level, but then there's also that competitiveness to it, but there's no actual disrespect. I think that's the big difference for me about whether or not I like rivals slash enemies or not, because if I feel a lack of respect for like the female main character, usually I'm not into it. I can't stand it actually. Books I think of, probably because January just passed and I just read Check and Mate. That's a big one I think of as rivals to lovers. Any others? There's definitely a good few. I really like this trope. Kind of Book Lovers, or yeah, by Emily Henry, I think, or Beach Read maybe it was. One of those slash both of them are kind of rivals to lovers rather than enemies, so I quite like that. Next is Forbidden Love. I'm gonna put it in meh, and that's because when I hear Forbidden Love, I'm instantly thinking of like student teacher, boo, or like there's a reason it's forbidden, that dark romance stuff. But Forbidden Love can be as innocent as your best friend's brother. That some people put that in Forbidden Love either. So I don't want to quite put in jail. If it was specifically like the forbidden romance, dark romance genre, oh, that's jail. That's jail 100% of the time, because I don't have time for that. I'm not into that at all. Whereas like best friend's brother or stuff like that, your brother's best friend, that kind of whole circular micro trope. I've heard people talk about micro tropes on TikTok. I think it's a bit weird. It's a bit like, it doesn't have to all have labels perfectly written. I'm okay to just have like vague idea of what goes on. I don't need it like pinpointed down to the tiniest minute detail. Second chance romance. So I'm gonna put that in, it's all right. Second chance romance is like the main characters are together, break up before the book starts, and then they end up back together. That's the kind of vibe for second chance romance. And I'm sure it can be done well. But if like the second chance is because of, say, cheating, oh, no in hell. No, that's not getting forgiven in my, I don't just forget that, you know, like I can't just look by something like that. But if it was more, I don't know, one of the characters are going through something and they lash out, or something like that. Maybe I could look around over that, or like they argue and then get back together. That kind of thing is fine. It was literally just, I'm thinking of like cheating. So I'll put in it's all right. It has to be handled well, or like the right circumstance. Okay, next we have secret relationship. So secret relationship, where would that be? I think, again, like with stipulations and stuff, I'm gonna put it in cute. And I'm saying this because I think it adds like an air of excitement to the book. Possibility of the couple getting caught. There's like high stakes, even though it's a romance book, so the stakes aren't actually that high. As long as the secret relationship is secret for a good reason. Like, again, if it's a student-teacher situation, jail. If it's like, I don't know, rival football teams or that kind of sports, like, oh, they can't know I'm literally sleeping with the enemy. Hell yeah, brilliant. So that's why I'm putting it in cute, because it's with that stipulation that it's kind of a silly secret reason rather than icky secret reason. Next we have love triangle. Into meh you go. Okay. Thing about love triangles, they are so overdone. Give them a rest. I think the queen of love triangles is Cassandra Clare. All of those books has some version of a love triangle. Of course, the Immortal Instruments, the OG for me, love triangle. The Infernal Devices, like the kind of new take on a love triangle. And even in the Dark Artifices, there are love triangles, multiple. And the Christina Kieran Mark love triangle being the first like proper love triangle, I suppose, rather than a love angle. So overdone. I like it when Cassandra Clare does it, because I like Cassandra Clare and she can do no wrong in her books, to me. Almost every fantasy book nowadays has some version of a love triangle. I finished, I think, 2 fantasy books this month, and I think both of them had some semblance of a love triangle, and I was like, please give it a rest. You don't have to put a love triangle in this. So, meh. Next is age gap, and oh, you know that's going straight to jail. Jail. Nasty. This is not a judgment on people with age gap relationships, whatever you do you, but I don't want it in my books. I don't want to read about that kind of stuff. It's not my thing. It's really not my thing. I think it pushes into the dark romance genre, subgenre, a bit too much with age gaps. Because when they're in books, it's not just like 2 consenting adults with an age gap, it's usually a teenager dating a 50-year-old man. So it's not the vibe, you know? First thing I'm thinking of is like, call me by your name. Boo. Boo. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. Next we have enemies to lovers, and I'm going to put that in cute. Again, with the stipulation that it is the kind of enemies to lovers that I like. Enemies to lovers in a contemporary setting is wild. What do you mean these are 2 adults working in an office that just hate each other for no reason? Like, that is stupid. That is just stupid. Whereas they hating each other, magic powers are involved, they're holding a knife to each other's throat. That is different because it's fantasy. That's the world they are in. They're subjected. They have to act like this because they're in this magical world. You know, like they're fighting to survive. I like it when it's enemies to lovers in that kind of situation. I really like, this is a court of, is it Mist and Furies? A second ACOTAR book. It's my favorite ACOTAR book, and that's the example of enemies to lovers I'll give. That's all I'll say kind of on that, just in case there is someone here who will get spoiled. That is the enemies to lovers I like. Not 2 people in the real world just hating each other. You're not gonna get on, that's okay. Like, just move on. So, cute. Sports romance. I am actually partial to a sports romance. I think that's kind of clear from the books on my shelf. So I'm gonna put that in cute as well. Just something about athletes I like to read about, and I think they're cute. They're usually kind of like trashy books. I'm never really taking a sports romance very seriously. I feel like that's how it should be. There was a bit of drama on TikTok a while ago in the hockey romance genre area. Like, That's too far. I can enjoy a sports romance, a hockey romance. I've read many, but not to the point where real people are involved. That's weird. So I like sports romance, and I've read plenty of hockey. I've read Hannah Grace, Icebreaker. I've read some books by Elle Kennedy as well. But to me, she's like the pinnacle of ice hockey romance. Might give hockey a bit of a rest for a while, to be honest. I don't even understand the game. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't know. People just like writing about it, and I'll read it. Soulmates and kind of hyphen Insta Love. Into the bin. I hate Insta Love. So Insta Love is instant love. Insta Love. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. No. I hate when characters are instantly bam. Not the vibe. I don't want them instantly in love. I want them to talk and get to know each other and then fall in love, or to have contempt for each other and then, you know, realize that the other person isn't a bad person and then, you know, fall in love. I hate when they love each other on first sight. No, the best example I can give of this is Soulmates by Holly Bourne. And Holly Bourne is an instant buy for me. I love her. But she wrote a book called Soulmates and I wanted to die inside slightly. I don't like it, and it took a lot for me to say that, to admit that about Holly Bourne, but that is probably the only one of her books I've ever not liked. So that's a big deal. No to Insta Love. Now, friends to lovers. Give me more of that. Because friends to lovers, there's that development. I want that development. I want them to have a relationship, a non-romantic relationship, before they fall in love. I want that. And so I love friends to lovers. And the best example I can kind of give of that is Percy Jackson. Annabeth and Percy are friends for most of the books, and then bam, in love at the end. Spoilers for a really old book, so like that's kind of on you if that's an actual spoiler. But yeah, I really like friends to lovers, and I feel like it's a really believable one. Like, it makes sense that you'd go from just knowing each other platonically and liking each other to a bit of romance, a bit of a kiss here and there, you know? Next we have Marriage of Convenience. So I've not read much Marriage of Convenience, but from what I have read, I'm going to put it in cute. Okay? I just read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, review incoming. There is a marriage in that, that's the whole premise, and I really liked that. I really liked that story. I liked that, you know, the whole my wife, that's my wife thing. I really liked that, and I didn't know if I would like it, because like a forced marriage or arranged marriage wouldn't necessarily be my thing, but I actually quite liked it in that book, and so I'm gonna go with what I thought about it actually in practice rather than in my brain, and what I thought about it before I read anything. So I will give Marriage of Convenience a cute rating. If I read other books where I don't like it, I could probably change that rating, but for now it can stay in cute. Next we have Fake Dating, and yes, kicking my feet. The thing about fake dating is they establish a relationship, it's fake, but they obviously start to fall for each other. Perfect. That's brilliant. That is perfection. I love fake dating. For whatever reason, I think it's super, super cute, because the reader always knows before the characters will admit that they're in love, but you're sitting there like, oh, he likes you, she likes you, come on. Love time. So I really like fake dating, and the best example I have of that is The Love Hypothesis. That's what made me love it so much. Fake dating. Accidental pregnancy. Out of here. Jail. I don't like accidental pregnancy at all, to the point where I've not read any books with accidental pregnancies. I also feel like it's kind of a spoiler if I were to give you some examples, but yeah, accidental pregnancy can leave. I hate that. If I find out that a book has an accidental pregnancy plotline, I'm not reading it. Ooh, Twilight. The last Breaking Dawn. Also, if you're spoiled for that, again, that is on you. Perfect example of why it's a shitty trope. Hate it. That is horrific. No. Next, we have forced proximity. Yes, yes, yes. Where'll I put this? I'll put it in cute for now. Forced proximity, I quite like when your characters they have to work together. They have to live together. I've seen that start to be a thing, which I think is funny. Also, Ali Hazelwood is releasing a forced proximity book later this year. And I know she's gonna make me like giggle and stay up till 2 a.m. reading again. So I'm preempting that by saying I think it's pretty cute. It could end up in kicking my feet by the end of this year, purely because of Ali Hazelwood. Twisted Love is a good example of forced proximity-ish. Probably not a good example actually, but I still think it's a cute little trope. Next we have a Grumpy versus Sunshine. Again, I love it. I absolutely love it. I suppose it's kind of opposites attract, but it's cuter because having a grumpy character and then a really cute, happy, sweet character is just, that dynamic is really intriguing to me. It's really precious. And the love hypothesis is, again, the perfect example. See, that's why I loved the love hypothesis so much, because it has so far 2 of my favorite tropes up from that top line. Fake dating and Grumpy versus Sunshine. And then like the grumpy person becoming less grumpy over time and the sunshine becoming less naive over time, like them growing together. Really nice, really, really nice. I really like Grumpy versus Sunshine. And then finally we have one more, which is Slowburn. And I think if you've been listening for the rest of this tier list, you will be able to tell that that is in kicking my feet. I love a good slow burn. Get together over the course of 5 books. Yearning. I just want yearning. I want love. I want them growing closer. I want a stolen kiss here, and then, oh, something awful happens. They've been separated and then they find themselves back together and it's wonderful, but is the love there? Like, oh, perfection. And again, I think that's very much down to Cassandra Clare's writing. The slow burn in all of those relationships. Like, I want it to take 6 books for the characters to get together. Also Percy Jackson again as well. It took 5 books for our characters to end up together, and it was perfect. As a kid, I was sitting there shipping characters before knowing what shipping was. I was like, yes, they love each other. They just haven't admitted it yet. That's how I want to feel. Through reading these romance books, I am trying to find the thrill of a good slow burn over the course of 5 books and just having that payoff at the end. Beautiful. So there we go. That is my tier list of romance books. And thank you for watching. I think this gives you a good idea of the kind of romance reader I am. I will see you next time.